Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. And hi, this is Jeff, fire captain in California.
Yes.
And this is Chats with Firefighters. We're going to talk about your job, what you do, your journey, and your life as a firefighter, and you.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about what you do as a fire captain. What's your duties, daily life?
So as a fire captain, I'm assigned to a fire engine. We carry two types of fire apparatus where I work. We have fire trucks, which is the big, long truck with all the ladders and tools on it. And then you got the fire engines that carry the water and hose. As a fire captain on an engine, my responsibilities is 90% we run EMS calls, the medical calls, and because over the years fire prevention has gotten so good, our fire calls have gone down. We still go on them, we just don't go on them as much as we did 20, 30 years ago.
That's good news.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the time of year where, the Christmas trees get dried out, and we do still get those kind of fires. Daily, I come to work. We work 24-hour shifts, and first thing I do is I check the roster to see who I'll be working with or who's working for me, who my medics are, because we also have an ambulance at our station. Making sure we got the proper staffing. Paramedics are on the ambulances, firefighters, EMTs are on the engine, and then I look at the schedule to see what's scheduled for that day. We don't just come to work and sit at the station waiting for calls. We run it like a normal job, 9 to 5 basically. So in the morning we have our workouts, and then on the schedule it'll tell us if we have continuing education for paramedic skills, EMT skills. Maybe we're going to the training center to do hose evolutions or ladder ops, roof ventilation. And then we also have health and wellness, where we go in, and we have coaches come in and talk about different workouts we can do. So our day could be filled up rather quickly. And
that's good. It's not boring.
Yeah, no, it is never boring. Once do that, then kind of have the lineup at the kitchen table, talk about what's going on, see how everybody's days off were, and then what the goals and expectations for the shift are. We work out. We have a mandatory workout time in the morning, and then after that, it'll usually be training or deciding if we're going to go to the store and cook. We spend our own money. We buy our own food and stuff, and I gotta admit, we got some pretty good cooks at the station. So,
that's good.
Yeah.
Are you one of them?
I am not. Not compared to those guys. But when I first got hired, I could barely boil water, so I can say my skills have greatly improved.
That's good. You improved.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I can work my way around a smoker. I can do some good meats and stuff. But as far as the Gucci recipes and stuff that the guys like to come up with, hey man, they enjoy it. I'm gonna let them continue to do it. Then we'll take our lunch break, and in the afternoon is usually when we're gonna go out. We'll do fire prevention or the training if we didn't do it in the morning, and then after about 5:00, we kind of call it our own time. That's when the guys who have stepped up to cook will start prepping the meals. If you're not involved in that, then you can work out. We have a bunch of guys and girls still continuing their education, going to school, so they're doing online courses. And then we try to get together again after a meal for watch some movie or something for some crew bonding. And
nice.
That's our day, yeah.
That's
and then
good.
In between all that, we're cleaning the station, we're maintaining the apparatus, I'm doing reports, and yeah, that's about it. A mundane day in the life of me.
So when you have training sessions and things like that, and if you go, for example, out, you say you go out and do some trainings, how do you handle the calls?
Oh, that's a good question. So it depends upon what day it is. We do get a certain day a week. Ours is on Monday, where we could do an out-of-service drill. So we'll put the rig out of service for an hour or so then we can do the more detailed tasks, like pulling hose off the engine, going aloft in a high rise or something like that. And so when that happens, then the other engines within the city will cover our district, and we do the same for them on their drill days. If we're doing multi-company drills, then we'll have a couple more rigs go out of service, and then have a couple called last up. So they'll be the last to get called for a call, but they're still kind of available at the training. But it's good. It needs to get done. I know people don't understand we're paying for you to be here. That is true, but we also got to keep our skills up, because like I said earlier, the fires that don't happen that often, that's a perishable skill. So you still need to practice it. You still need to stay on top of it so you're prepared when it does happen.
And see, if you are like in the middle of a training at the station, you just drop everything and go for the call?
Yep, exactly.
If you're having your meal, you drop everything, you go for a call?
Absolutely. I will tell you, yesterday, 2 guys got caught in the shower because we got a call right after that. So they came down, still soap in their hair, trying to get dressed. So, yep. It's a good time, but when the bell rings, it's a serious time. It's time to go to work.
You're staying like 2 days. You were telling me before you have like 2 days, 24 hours, 2 days
Correct.
Per week?
Yeah. So we'll work 2 full days, 2 24-hour shifts, and then we were off for 4 days.
So when you're off because you're the fire captain, who's replacing you?
The next shift. So we work.
So you have more than one fire captain per firehouse?
Correct.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we have 3 shifts. I'm one of the shifts, and then we have 2 other shifts that come in. So we relieve the shift before us, and then a new shift took over this morning when we got relieved.
So in each firehouse, there are several fire captains and several crews. Do you still work with the same ones? I mean, as a fire captain, do you get the same firefighters under your command, or do they turn, like you get whoever you're going to get that day?
For the most part, we keep everybody the same. They bid into the spot, and they're there until another bid opens up, meaning another spot opens up. They want to work with a different, partner on an ambulance or something. They'll move over. But for the most part, I have the same people for about a 2-year period.
So you have 3 fire captains, and are the same firefighters always on the same days that you work, or?
Yes. Now, we do get overtime people. If somebody calls in sick, we'll get somebody from another shift. We have one paramedic right now who's off on maternity leave. They just had a baby. And so we have, an overtime person every day working for his spot. So,
are you the one deciding for the schedule? Like, because if you work 2 days a week, is it always the same 2 days?
No, it rotates. So I just got off this morning. And so I'll be off for 4 days, and then I'll work for another 2 days. So the schedule kind of advances a little bit. So we end up working different days throughout the month. We work 10 shifts a month. But like if you worked Wednesday, Thursday this week, the next week you're going to work Tuesday, Wednesday. And then the week after that,
moves a little bit.
Yeah, it comes back towards.
So you don't
Sunday.
Choose. It's just that the way it is.
That's just how it is. Yep.
So sometimes you have to work on holidays.
Oh yeah.
You don't just get to choose which holidays you're gonna get.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And in our department, everybody has agreed that we're not taking vacations on Christmas. If you end up getting force hired because somebody's out injured or something, you're not going to get force hired for both Christmas and Christmas Eve. You'll end up getting force hired for one, so you at least have the other one off. So we try to be thoughtful that way too.
And so as a fire captain, do you still work, when you get on a call, what do you do? Is your role different than the other ones?
Yeah, that's a good question. So everybody pretty much has a role depending upon what their call is. Usually on the medical calls, I am the one that stands back and looks at overall scene safety and making sure we don't have a bunch of people coming in, getting in the way. If it's a serious call, I'm clearing the scene, making sure everybody's got room to work. If I need to call for PD or more resources, I'm the guy on the radio.
What's PD?
Oh, I'm sorry, police department.
Oh, okay, got it. And that's when you have on the scene of an accident, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If there's a fire, what do you do?
So it all depends. Most of the time on a fire engine, I'll be going interior with my fire crew. So I have a thermal imaging camera. My firefighter will be on the nozzle right in front of me, and we're going interior trying to find the seat of the fire. I'm on the radio coordinating with the roof people, the truck company that's up on the roof, with ventilation, because I want to get a hole opened up as fast as I can to try to get all the smoke and hot gases out of the room so we can see better. Before that happens, it's usually pitch black. You can't see anything other than through the thermal imaging camera.
So when you have a call like that, and if you need more people, you have the possibility to call out for other firehouses to come and help, or how does that work?
Yeah, if we have a fire, it'll be a full alarm. And so what that means is we'll come in with 3 or 4 engines, 2 or 3 trucks. The battalion chief will respond. The battalion chief, so let me back up. As a captain, I'm kind of in charge of the station, the firehouse, but the battalion, he's in charge of the whole battalion. Everybody who's working in the department that day works for him. And so when we got those big incidents, he comes in and takes command of the incident. So he sets up his command board in the back of his rig, places people where he needs to be. So he has to have, an interior crew. He's got to have a ventilation crew. You might have a rescue. You might have a medical group. So he's kind of the one setting all that up. Me, as first engine on scene going interior, if I would need more resources, I would call him and ask him, can I get another company in here to help pull hose? This is really interior, really deep. And he would get it for me.
And if you work on accidents, what's usually the routine thing? You get in the scene. Are you the first on the scene usually?
Yeah, if we get usually we'll get the call. Somebody calls 911. We'll arrive on scene. My engineer, who's a great engineer, he makes sure he puts his rig in a good spot to protect us while we're working on people. So he'll park the rig into oncoming traffic.
Is the rig the truck?
The fire engine, yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's good. I told you a lot of stupid questions.
Yeah,
today.
no, that's good. And so he'll block for safety while we go and assess damages, injuries. And I'll have other rigs coming in, other fire engines coming in. If it's a rescue where a car got rolled and people are trapped inside, we'll get the fire truck, the big guy, because that carries all our extrication tools and stuff. Extrication tools are the jaws of life that you see on TV, and they're what we can use to pop doors or cut roofs off to get people out of their vehicles. So me as a captain, again, I'm standing back evaluating what's happening. Do I have enough people? Are we in a safe spot? And coordinating with the police department to make sure we have tow trucks en route. They want to know who was involved in the accidents, if they're able to talk to them right now. If they can't, if we're going to transport them to the hospital, I make sure we know where the hospital destination is and stuff. So.
How do you know? That's a good question, actually. That's something I always wonder, and I don't want to figure it out, because how do you decide what hospital you're taking people to?
So 90% of the time, it's the closest hospital that we're going to go to.
So you have to pray you have an accident close to a good one.
Yeah, exactly. So in my city, we have one centrally located that pretty much we go to all the time. If that one gets saturated, meaning they have too many people that they're trying to take care of, they'll close themselves down and we'll have to divert to another hospital. So we'll go one to an adjoining city, or on either side of us. There's one on either side of us in another city we'd go to. And it's not that far, but it would add 10 minutes or so, which could be vital in some cases.
Yeah. Do you get to choose, if you're conscious and you don't want to go to a hospital that you don't like, can you ask the fire department, hey, no, I don't want to go to that hospital, take me to that other one?
It depends. In our city, we try to accommodate as much as possible, but at the same time, people have to remember that we're a 911 resource. So
not a taxi.
Yeah, if we can't take you to the hospital of choice, then we have to take you to the hospital that we're associated with. And the reason for that is so we can get ourselves back in service. If we try to cater as much as we can to the public, but at the same time we have to make sure that we're still available to the public.
So when you have an incident like that, like an accident or fire, do you have to do some reports of them? Do you have to write down everything that happened every time?
I have to do reports on everything.
Oh my God! And you're the one responsible.
So there's 2 reports we do. We do like a patient assessment report. We call them PCRs, and that one kind of documents everything we've done for a patient, and then that gets turned over to the hospital, and then they'll continue care. And that's where we find out, if they're on any medications, if they're allergic to any medications, what their medical history is, and what treatment we've done. I can start that one, but the paramedics pretty much take it from me because that has to go with them if they're going to transport.
So they're responsible for a report as well.
Correct.
Everybody does report.
Everybody does.
That's part of the daily routine as well.
Yep, exactly. And then when I come back to the station, I have a report back on our programs. I have to report what we did on that call.
So if you're on an accident scene and the person is unconscious, how do you figure out who they are? Do you try to go through their phone? What do you do? Like if someone's not responsive?
If somebody's unconscious, then it's advanced life-saving skills. We make sure that they're breathing, they're not in medical distress, and if they are, then we are working on what we see. So we're checking for broken bones, broken necks, that kind of thing. So if we're not sure, we would stabilize somebody's neck with a C-collar. Put them on a backboard so we're not moving their body too much. And then we're just transporting with whatever we need to do. We hook them up to a heart monitor, make sure they haven't had like a heart attack or cardiac arrest incident. And we're doing what we can to save their life with what information we have.
And you're not responsible for checking out who they are. You're going to go through their stuff. I'm just wondering, if do they open the purse and check, if there's an ID in there? Do you do that?
The cops will usually do that. PD
cops
will usually come in and, if they have a wallet, we'll pull out their ID so we can scan some information from that to find out how old they are and stuff. But the officers are the ones that are usually getting information to be able to notify somebody of an accident or anything like that.
So if you're in a fire scene, what's your first thing? Obviously, you check if there's someone inside.
The first thing we're doing is, if I'm first on scene, I'm going to give a size up over the radio. So what's a size up? It's describing what we have. So if we're going to somebody's house, a single-story house. This is a single-story, single-family house. I have nothing showing. We index the building, how houses or any building usually has 4 sides. So we'll index the building, the front usually being the alpha side, then the left would be Bravo, the back would be Charlie, and the right would be Delta. And so you give your size up, engine whatever is on scene of a single-story, single-family resident. We have nothing showing. Alpha side will be the address side, front door side. Engine so-and-so will be investigating. So now I'm going to get out. It's called a 360. If there's nothing showing, my guys are just in standby mode, ready to go to work. And I'll run around the house really quick. I'm looking for an RP, which is a reporting party, the homeowner. And then if nobody's there, do I have any smoke in the area? Where's the smoke coming from? What side of the building? And then you're kind of indexing the building, getting ideas. Well, you know what a front door is, so that's the front entrance. But this window on the Bravo side, the left side, is frosted. So that's probably a bathroom, right? Kitchen windows are usually a little bit bigger over the sink, so you can identify where the kitchen is. You look at the stacks on the roof where the ventilation stacks are, seeing if there's smoke coming out of there. Does the building have an attic? You look for the attic vents on the peaks of the roof to see if you got any smoke coming out of there. You might have an attic fire. So that's the first thing I'm doing. It sounds very long, but it's a very quick assessment. It takes about 30 seconds to do.
Wow.
So if it is a fire, we have smoke coming out of, say, a side window, then it would be engine so-and-so's on scene of a single-family residence, single story. We have heavy black smoke coming from the Bravo side of the house. Engine so-and-so will be pulling a line, attacking the fire. Next in company, take command. So then my guys are going to pull the hose to the door. We're going to make entry or get ready to make entry while my engineer will secure a water supply, meaning he hooks the engine up to the fire hydrant, because we only carry 500 gallons of water. And once you open that bale, it's only good for a minute or two. So if you don't have that water, you're not much good. So we make sure we get a water supply. If it's just a small room and content fire, food on the stove type of thing, we will make entry at that point and try to put the fire out before it gets too big. If it's getting in there, it's hot, the smoke is banked down all the way to the floor, then we're going to want to coordinate our efforts with the roof division, the truck company, to cut a hole. Because once we open up that door, then you got all the science involved with flow paths. Now fresh air is getting introduced into the building. Your fire is going to exponentially get bigger, faster, hotter, faster. So coordinating with the roof, you're able to get in it and you're able to do a primary search looking for victims. You're also looking
I was going to ask, do you check if there's
Oh,
someone
yeah.
before you put the
Yep,
water out?
absolutely. Yeah, and that's also part of that 360 you do in the beginning. You know, what time of day is it? Is it in the middle of the night? You're more likely to have people home. If it's during the day, are there vehicles in the parking lot, or in the driveway? Looking to see if somebody's home if you don't have anybody there to talk to. So yeah, you make entry, you're looking for the seat of the fire, you're doing a primary search, and then you attack the fire.
Do you check for pets as well?
Always. That's part of the primary as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an important question for me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So if I were to show up at your house, the first thing you would tell me is that your precious little dog is inside. You couldn't find him. So now I'd pass on to the crew that, okay, look for a cute little fluffy dog because he's probably under the bed.
And then if there is no one home, no one telling you, do you still check for pets? Because sometimes, people go to work and the pet is inside.
Correct. Yeah, it's our primary focus, if nobody's home, is knocking down the fire as quick as possible. We don't see anything during our primary search. Once we knock down the fire, we have ventilation coming to clear out all the smoke and stuff. Then we do a secondary search. And that's a little more detailed. Well, it's a lot more detailed. We're going room to room, making sure that nobody's there. If we see things like doggy bowls, doggy water bowls and stuff, we'll make sure that there's no animal, right? Yeah. Correct. And if there is, then, we've done CPR on pets before. And, if we didn't get there in time, or if there was someplace we didn't find them, then, we call animal control and they come out and help take care of the dogs for us, and cats or birds or snakes or whatever people have as pets.
So how busy does it get? Every day is different? Every
day is different. Sometimes we'll run 6 calls in a 24-hour period. Sometimes we'll run 26 calls. It all depends. The big changes happen when we have big weather changes. When it goes from cooler to hotter, people haven't acclimated yet to that. They get hotter quicker. They haven't turned on their air conditioner, or they haven't opened up for ventilation. And we'll start running on more dehydration calls, people who are passing out because they haven't been drinking enough water. The opposite with the colder times, that's more for the homeless population where, they're trying to just be on their own for the most part. They don't want to bother anybody, but sometimes it gets just too cold, so then they'll call us saying that they're having a heart attack because they just need a warm place to go sleep in the hospital. And we also have recognized it and are working with the police for care teams to come out and help these people who are out there, unhoused, trying to find programs for them to get them off the streets.
Yeah, I'm guessing that right now the homeless situation is big in the whole California. So I'm guessing you're facing a lot of calls that are involved with homeless?
Yeah, you see a lot of homeless, but a lot of times they're not trying to bug anybody. They're just trying to be on their own. Whatever circumstance got them into that, they're not trying to involve anybody. So for the most part, they'll leave you alone. It's those circumstances that where they can no longer take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they call us. So.
Do they call you? Or, I mean, I'm guessing a lot of them don't have a phone to call you.
Oh, no, they all have phones. Maybe there's some out there that don't have phones, but in my experience, every single one of them has a smartphone.
With that in mind, because you've been in fire, and just in a second we'll talk about your journey, but you've been in firework. That sounds weird. That sounds awful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Working in the fire department for a while, right?
Yes.
So is there any evolution with the smartphones? Like, do people call 911 more often?
I don't think they call them more often. I mean, I've been with this department almost 30 years now, and we had cell phones when I first got on the job, and the call volume hasn't changed because of the evolution of this phones getting smarter or anything. There are some circumstances, now I'm thinking about it, like the Apple phone has the drop detection for people who are over 55. I just found this one out. They will automatically call 911 if they feel the phone drop more than 3 feet at a rapid fall, like somebody has fallen.
So if they drop their phone from a shelf, that's it.
Yeah.
911.
Yeah, if they don't stop it, it'll call 911. And we actually went on one. It geolocated us to a house. Nobody was home. We were able to get hold through dispatch. They were able to find a contact number, and they said they left their phone on their nightstand. Maybe the cat knocked it off or something. And I'm like, is this where we're going? And I work with the federal government on big incidents as well. And this last year we were on a fire, and multiple occasions people were on the incident. We'll have 1,000 firefighters out there trying to fight the fire, and we'll have 2 guys in a vehicle talking. One of them will be talking on their phone to their wife or whoever, and they told them they were on a fire. The other guy's phone picked it up as he was on fire, called 911, and we had to respond within the incident to look for this guy who was on fire. But because it did it that way, we know which phone it was. We were able to track it down, and it was just one of those things where Siri or Alexa or whoever it was decided that they thought this guy was on fire and called 911 for him.
So maybe with AI coming up more heavily, you're gonna have like some of those surprises.
It could be, but on the AI side, I'm kind of excited because it's gonna just totally change how we fight fire. I can only imagine that with technology.
I'm not excited about it. So tell me how you are excited about AI.
So I guess I'm trying to think of a simple way of putting it. But, there are programs out there that you have on your phone saying, tracking your calories. And you buy something at the restaurant to eat, and you don't know exactly how many calories this thing might be. So you can take a picture of it on your app. The AI can tell you roughly what it is that you're eating, how many calories it is. And I'm just using that for an example. Like, AI has taken a picture you've taken and telling you what's in it and how much, it's going to cost you in calories or whatever. And I can see that moving into the fire as well. We use a thermal imaging camera. We call it a TIC. And, we can take it in there and it can cut through the smoke and it looks for hot things and stuff. Imagine if we had some AI built into that where it recognizes a body from, something laying on the floor that's hot, same temperatures, something that could detect where something might possibly be, just giving you that extra tool. Yeah, that's a good one. An extra tool to help you protect people or put fires out better faster.
The thing with AI that I'm always concerned about is how random it is. So it makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Because it's randomly thinking, oh, this is what it is. Boom, 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 boom. So for something that serious, well, you're going to have to relate on your brain still.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully.
I hope it'll never make it to where a firefighter doesn't have the knowledge he needs to do this job, because it is an inherently dangerous job, But I'll admit I used AI just this last week because it's evaluation times for the firefighters, and I have just the best crews. I'm going to tell you right now, my guys are fantastic. The whole department's fantastic. But you write something, you're trying to express just how proud you are, or something you notice that they did on a day-to-day basis or during calls. And, when I write it, I look at it, I'm like, that makes no dang sense. So I may have then copied it into ChatGPT saying,
You may have.
I need help with this. I need it to make it sound more sincere or more appreciative of the type of work they do.
But did you copy paste and put it out? Because I'm going to tell you, I received an email like that not too long ago. I can tell right away.
Right away.
It's ChatGPT, not you.
Here's a little tidbit for everybody out there. If you're going to use ChatGPT to write something, you should write it first. Let them look at it and make their suggestions. That way it keeps your tone, your flow. Then you copy and paste it. And, there are a couple things where I would never use that word. So then when I put it back into the eval, I use the words I would use,
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a tool. It's not a crutch. So.
Yeah. So can we talk about your journey? Did you decide to be a firefighter, or did it just randomly happen for you, for example?
I will say that growing up, I never planned to be a firefighter. My brother was a highway patrolman, and I wanted to grow up and be like my older brother. He's 20 years older than me, and I was going to be a highway patrolman like him. And I really idolized him. I looked up to him, and when he was younger, he went into the Navy. And so the first thing I did out of high school was go into the Navy. And I became a electrician's mate and a ship's rescue swimmer, and did 4 years with them, with every intention of coming out and becoming a police officer somewhere. And this is back in the 90s. When I got out, back then when you went to unemployment, they had a vet representative that worked in the unemployment office. I got assigned to him, and at that time he was like, there's not a lot of calls out here for electricians, and don't know where we could fill you in as a rescue swimmer, so let's get you a job with the Forest Service. You'll be a seasonal firefighter. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me apply and see if I can get that. So I applied, I got it, worked my first fire season on a Type 3 engine, which is a small all-wheel drive, one that can go out on dirt roads thing, and just fell in love with it. And I thought, this is great. This is what I want to do. Our first strike team we went out on, we were down in San Diego, and we came across a whole Indian site that nobody knew was there. And back then, even though you worked on a fire engine, there were other jobs in the Forest Service like trail crew, archaeologists, and if we were short people on the engine, we would grab them to come help fill the numbers. So we actually had an archaeologist with us who had found this site, was so excited. And that at that point, I'm like, this is what we're going to do every time we go out on one of these things? Yeah, I'm hooked.
No.
So I ended up working with them for almost 10 years, worked my way from a seasonal firefighter all the way up to a captain. I ran Type 2 hand crews, which is, a 20-person crew. You go out and directly cut line right in front of the fire, trying to separate the fuel from the burn, so people can then put in hose lays to put the fire out. And just thought it was the coolest thing. As I got older, realized that, if this is the kind of job I want to do, there's other departments out there that pay better, give you more time with your family and stuff. So I started testing. Took a couple of years, but I finally got hired on with the department I'm with now. and changed my life. You know, as a fire captain, working for the federal government, going to a firefighter, all of a sudden, all the time I had to spend at work with the feds, you know, trying to make my paycheck, now I'm able to actually have days off and spend time with my family. And it really, really gave a good work home life balance with moving to the municipal department. So I've been with them for, like I said, almost 30 years, worked my way up from firefighter, was an engineer for over 10 years, and then I've been a captain now for, I think, going on 8 years.
Wow.
And during that time, you know, I still ran hand crews. I work with the federal government still on incident management teams going out on big fires. The department supports that, sees the value in it. It's not just about getting away from the department, it's what I can bring back to the department with the skills and stuff. So they recognize it and support it, and that's good. I'm not the only one. They have other people that go out, and all the different jobs you see out there on those big incidents, you know, we're able to bring back to our home units and help for when the disasters hit our own backyard.
So you began in the military, but briefly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went into the Forest Service.
Correct.
Federal, and then you work as a municipal firefighter.
Correct.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Let's just go back into little stories that you can tell us about different stage of your professional life. So
Okay.
when you were in the Army, you were actually working in the Navy?
In the Navy, yep.
So you were on the ship?
I was on a ship, yep. And, you know, again, kind of it actually set me up for the jobs I have now, because even though you're on a ship, you're working a 9-to-5 job on the ship. So I was the electrician on the ship. We worked, you know, we had our lineup in the morning. We worked throughout the day. 5 o'clock at night, we would call knockoff ships work. If we're in port, you're allowed to go out. If you were out at sea, then you could go relax, you know, go have dinner, work out. We had a gym on the ship.
It's a very similar life.
So it was a very similar,
Yeah.
You know, you're away from home. You know, you're gonna get called upon at all time of the day to go do something extra. It was a perfect fit. You know, I didn't realize then that
it was prepping you for. I mean, that's the thing about firefighters that I'm discovering as I get into, you know, your world.
Yeah.
It is very military, the way you work, the way you relate to each other. You know, it's very
we call
structured.
it paramilitary because it's military structured. We just don't have the military discipline that you would get, you know, going through more of the rigid units.
You don't scream at your people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So.
And then when you were in the Forest Service, so you were only working on fires, or you were also working on rescues? What was your daily job?
Yeah, with the Forest Service, it was fires only. We'd only go on federal fires, or, you know, if you had a fire that broke out in your forest, you would initial attack that fire. But as far as any rescues or anything, we'd only assist with outside agencies. So here in California, you got, you know, LA County is a big one that surrounds a forest out here. And so they would come in to do a traffic accident or a mountain rescue, and they would utilize us for traffic control out on the forest roads.
Did you have any encounters, I'm guessing, with bears or like wildlife or any stories with crazy animals? Because now you have a lot of stories with crazy humans, but at the time, crazy animals?
The one that comes right to mind is we were working as a hand crew. We were up north on a fire. I don't remember which fire it was. It was a bunch of years ago. We were cutting line on the side of this hill, trying to make a fuel break between the fire and the unburned fuel. And we just heard all this crashing coming down, and we thought a rock had cut loose above us. It was rolling in, so everyone's yelling to be heads up, and about 2 seconds later, this bear comes crashing through the brush, takes one look at us, turns tail, and runs the other direction, and he was gone. But we're just like, oh,
wow.
There's something you're not going to see every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then you'll run into rattlesnakes. We had a mountain lion one time kind of stalk us. I say kinda because he looked at us. I think he realized the number of people that were
Yeah. It
there.
was only one person,
Yeah,
maybe dangerous.
yeah, exactly. Checking us out and decided, nah, I'm gonna go the other way. So he just trotted off like
It
no
was a
big
smart
deal.
one.
Yeah, exactly. You get the deers. Yeah. There's stuff out there you've run into, and at the time you're like, wow, that was really cool, and then you kind of forget about it over the years.
Yeah.
So
Did you take pictures at the time, or like was it something that you? I would definitely try to take a picture.
yeah, usually when that's happening, you're working.
You're not.
Yeah, and
And maybe if it's coming too close to you, you don't have
yeah,
time. That's when the
exactly.
not smart humans take
Yeah.
their cell phones and
Yeah,
die.
exactly, exactly. There's been times where we'd be working out there in the middle of the burn or whatever, and a helicopter comes in or the tanker comes in to do a water drop, and so we have to pull out of the way for safety. Then you'll get some cool videos and stuff of the planes coming in real low, dropping their retardant and flying away. Those are fun. But yeah, usually during the heat of the work, you're working. You're just trying to get
No
it done.
pictures.
Yeah. So if you stop to
Shoot.
take a picture, that means somebody
That
else
means
is picking
so-
up your slack. So they're not gonna like you too much.
So talking about retardant, and you were talking about that, are you concerned about? I was going to talk about something else before talking about health concern or like aspects of your job that are kind of the downside of it. Are you concerned about the chemicals that you're smelling every day? Because retardants are
Yeah.
pretty strong. For example.
Yeah. So cancer is one of the leading causes of death, along with heart attacks in the fire service, and that is because we're so exposed to chemicals that release, the real bad stuff when they burn. Things that they've told us were safe in the past have been proven to be not that safe. So am I concerned? Yes, but that's part of the job, and you have to take care of yourself while taking care of others. And what I mean by that is we've learned so much over the last few years about cancer prevention and the things we have to do after an incident. So when we have a fire, we now decon all our equipment, decontaminate it. We're washing it down with soap and water before we put it back on the rig. Our apparatus, the fire trucks, fire engines now are designed where we don't store our turnouts and our breathing apparatus in the same place we sit in anymore. We have our own compartments for that, because no matter what, that stuff still holds on to those chemicals and they are continually off-gassing. So we've changed policy. After work, we usually dress down into our PT shorts and t-shirt, and if we get a call, we put on our turnout pants to go on a call. Now we only put our turnout pants on if we're going to get a fire call. If we're just going on a medical call, we'll put our normal station pants back on. And
Not the PJs.
not the PJs, no. And then after an incident, we'll make sure we take our showers, try to get all the stuff off our skin as much as possible. And then working through CalPERS, we have an online reporting system that we will mark the incident that we were on, who we were on the incident with, and what kind of incident it was. So whether it be a hazmat incident, a fire, anything that we've been exposed to something, we can log it in there. And the state of California keeps a record of that. And then legislation has passed that has proven that firefighters in this field, cancer is presumptive. So a lot of cancers now are automatically covered if you get it found on you or in you. You get access to
Care.
treatment and stuff.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have, like prevention first.
Yeah. So we do our due diligence, like I said, deconning our equipment and ourselves after an incident. We have after fires, we call it mop up, where we're going in there and we're making sure all the hot spots are out in a fire, in a house or whatever, clearing it out so it doesn't reignite. And back in the old days, we would just take all our turnouts off. We'd put our brush jacket on, a pair of gloves, and we go in and start doing all the heavy work. And studies have shown that the bad stuff is still there at a very high level. So now when we do that mop up, we're still staying our turnouts, and we are on our breathing apparatus, making sure we're not breathing that stuff in. And then our department has supplied all firefighters with a second pair, a backup pair of turnouts. So when we do come in from that incident, then
change.
Yeah, we'll
wash
those, put our secondary ones out on the rig, so we're still response ready.
And if you have like a big fire, do you have reports from, wherever the fire happened? Is there like chemicals that were in there? Do you know what's inside the structure where you're like trying to put the fire out? Do you know what's inside?
If it's like a manufacturing building, there's usually a chemical list that they have to keep that tells you what kind of bad stuff is in there. But with houses, apartments type things, there's just a standard list of hydrocarbons and plastics and stuff that are normally associated in these type of fires, so they're already in there ready to go. Yeah.
I just thought of the one that happened not too long ago in California, where this person had all the fireworks, the real fireworks this time.
Yeah.
How do you get prepared for that?
Yeah, those are the kind of things that might just come up on you. We would treat that no different than we would if somebody had a bunch of ammunition in their house and it got hot and started going off. We would back out and go defensive, meaning we wouldn't go inside to fight the fire. We would attack it from the outside with our large diameter, our master streams, the big hoses you see squirting into a building. We'd back out to a safe spot and attack it that way. Did
you ever had the encounter with a meth lab or something like that, like drugs in the house?
Not where I work now, but back in the day when I worked for the federal government, yeah, you'd have those grow houses and stuff, hold up in some drainage somewhere that was, hidden, that nobody knew about. And in those type of situations, you'll see telltale signs of them. They'll have, the irrigation, the black tubing coming out from a creek or whatever that feeds all their plants or whatever they're doing inside this cabin that they constructed out of plywood or tree branches or whatever they're using.
The plants are not too dangerous.
No.
But the meth is explosive.
Yeah. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with meth around here. But out there, that's when you call in the ATF and, the feds come in. They sweep the area, make sure all the booby traps and all the bad chemicals are neutralized, and then they'll allow you to go in. But if it's in there and it's burning, you're just going to let it burn and back away till it's safe to go back in.
There was an explosion around here not too long ago. A house next to a school
that
exploded in the middle of the night. And then people were saying, because it was an abandoned house. So people were like, I was inside. I don't know, but it woke me up. It was crazy. It was like a big bomb in the middle of the night. So, I'm pretty sure there's like some surprises along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about what your work is, daily work and your routine and your journey, and how would you like to talk about how you balance your family and personal life with the job, because it's a very specific work that you guys have that takes you away from your family like regularly, and how do you work that out?
So, the way we work, obviously we're going to miss birthdays, holidays, anniversaries and things.
Anniversaries is a dangerous one to miss.
Yeah.
Just saying.
The holidays, we started early on when my son was very little. If I worked Christmas, that's when Santa Claus would come, right? So then what we would do is we would just, when he was really, really young, we just celebrated Christmas on Christmas Eve or on the 26th. He didn't know any better. But as he got into school and stuff and started being aware of what days were what, we would just tell him, Santa takes care of his firefighters. He makes sure that we do it either on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day, depending on what day I got to come home. Yeah. So we always made sure the holidays were spent and that they were special, even if it wasn't on that day. In the almost 30 years I've been in this job, I've probably been home on my birthday maybe 5 times.
It ends up being a working day.
If I'm not at work, then I'm out. It's fire season. I'm out on a big incident somewhere.
Do you want to talk about how hard it is on your family? That's your side of the story, but obviously, if you're married and you have kids, there's also the family side of the story.
Correct.
How do they manage being, married to a fireman?
I'm going to say that I've got it easier than most. My wife is very supportive. We met when I worked in the Forest Service, and so she was already used to, when I'd go away on a strike team or something. Back then, you could be gone for 3 weeks at a time. So she had to learn to be very self-sufficient and figure things out sometimes on her own. And she's totally smart too. But it's kind of funny when you listen to stories of, somebody got a flat tire, so now this guy has to go home. My wife had to learn early on that I'm not always there and she's going to have to take care of things. Now, unfortunately, it seems like anytime I'm not there, that's when the big things happen.
The good ones or the bad ones?
The bad ones. The dog gets sick, or the refrigerator dies, or her car completely implodes on the side of the road. And
that happened?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So she.
That's kind of sad because if you have a fireman home,
yeah,
that's when you can use him.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're not home.
No, but and where I say I'm lucky is, she would call me after the fact and like, oh yeah, the car died. I had to get it towed. It's at this thing or this repair shop. So when you get off tomorrow morning, can you go over there and talk to the guy? Like, yes. So I guess balancing my home life with work, when I'm home, I try to make sure I take care as much as I can. So she's not over inundated with stuff that I should have taken care of. Kid-wise, you just make sure that you stay in their lives, even when you're at work. So, you call when they get home from school, you see how their day was, and you just keep that communication open. So you're not missing out as much as you would if you're not keeping that relationship, even when you're not there.
It can actually help because sometimes, you don't want to be
absolutely
with the other person on top of you all day long. So
yeah, exactly.
So what do you do when you're home? Do you have passion projects at home?
Passion projects, I would say I got a couple of hobbies. Guys always tease me. I'm big into model trains, so
nice.
I have a outdoor layout that I've been working on for the last few years. That just gives me pleasure to go out there and tinker. And
is it like the thing that you have a little train and there's rails and it goes around your yard?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
You can't ride on it, but it's garden scale, it's G scale, but the tracks are made to stay outside, so that lives outside, and the buildings you can buy, they could stay outside if you want to keep them out there, but they will deteriorate.
You said the building, is it like the
little miniature, little bars and houses and restaurants and banks.
Oh, it's the whole
thing.
town.
Yeah.
Do you make it like Christmassy during the holidays?
Yeah.
Now I want to see pictures.
Yeah. Okay, after this I'll show you pictures.
Yeah.
But then one thing my passion about is, when I was in the military, when I was in the Navy, I got into scuba diving and just loved it. And when my son was 13, he wanted to do scuba diving. So we took him out to Catalina and did a little Discover Scuba out there. He fell in love with it. And the next year, he wanted to do it again, but this time take Mom and do scuba diving with her. So they did a Discover Scuba the next year. Mom did not want to be a scuba diver. She gave it a try for him and then said, you know what, we're good.
It's creepy.
You and Dad could have this hobby. And so we ended up getting him certified. found out that, where we live, we have one of the oldest dive clubs in California. So we joined the dive club, and probably about 10 years ago, found an organization that works with disabled veterans, teaching them how to scuba dive, and researched them, found out that they've been studied by Johns Hopkins and Loma Linda, and it really shows that getting our men and women underwater, breathing scuba, experiencing underworld life, that we're reducing stressors like PTS and other traumatic brain injuries up to 80%.
Oh, wow.
And that's not just for a day, it's not for a week, it was for weeks. And fell in love with the idea. By this time, I had become an instructor in scuba, reached out to them, became involved with their program, and now I'm part of helping veterans recover, come back and reconnecting with life outside the military. And I've had the privilege of working with veterans that have come back, had seen things that nobody would ever want to see, and it's haunted them, it's disconnected them from their families. They've fallen into substance abuse, on the verge, or have been divorced, and with our program, giving them a second chance, getting them back involved, because there's just something that happens when you're underwater, you're weightless, you're kind of just floating through the water stream, looking at the fish, you're hearing yourself breathe, even though you're with a buddy right next to you. It's a buddy sport, but it's also
you by yourself.
Yeah, you're in your own brain, you're listening to yourself breathe, you're looking at what's in front of your mask, and you're just floating through life. And it can be life-changing for somebody that has been struggling with their demons and stuff for a long time. So
that's amazing.
The program I'm involved with is called Veteran 6. They're headquartered out of Temecula, but we have a couple of outlets up in the Antelope Valley and other places, and I'm part of that. And we're an adaptive sport for veterans, not just the ones that have been injured, those that have served and want to check it out. I highly recommend it. And we went back a couple years ago to Florida, and one of the students, we do the thing where we introduce ourselves. We want you to introduce yourself. Where did you serve? Why you want to try scuba? And one of the guys told me that the reason I want to try this is because I want the demons in my head to stop yelling at me. And I said, oh, brother, just give me 3 days and let me see if I can help with that at all. And after 3 days, he came up and gave me a hug and said he hadn't heard him for 2 days. So
wow.
It not only affected him, but it affected me as well. And usually when I tell that story, I get pretty choked up. So I'm trying not to.
So that's good, because you brought the next thing I was going to ask you about, is there's any cause that you want to be doing a little fundraising for today. So you talked about it, and obviously you're very passionate about it, and that's the cause you would like us to share around if someone wants to help an association that's helping veterans in activities and also their mental health and their rehabilitation, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If anybody's interested out there, veterans6.org is our organization. We are an adaptive sport organization. We not only teach scuba, that is our primary category, I guess, where we'll teach you scuba diving at no cost to you, and then from there can build you up from not just being a scuba diver, but we can take you all the way up to becoming a dive master, another instructor if that's where you desire. We do outings, we do kayaking, we do meditation at headquarters down there in Temecula, we do yoga, and our clubhouse, the headquarters, we call the clubhouse because it's a place that we've designed to have you just come in and you can do something or you can do nothing. We have sitting areas. You can paint, you can color, you can visit with friends, or you can just sit there and take some time for yourself.
Is it only local here, or do you also do activities for vets in other places in the country?
Right now, it's in Southern California. We're headquartered out of Temecula, but we have had people reach out to us in Florida, in Texas, that want to work with their dive shops to have us come out and train some veterans out there. And so we're exploring that and looking to go out in those areas and see what we can do. But we're looking at doing, dive trips and just anything. We do fly fishing trips. It's just not scuba diving. It's just getting you back, getting you mission focused on whatever we're doing. In the military, you had your battle buddy. With Veteran 6, you got your dive buddy. And
that's a good slogan.
Yeah, thanks. I just came up with it. I'm going to tell the founder.
Yeah.
But Veteran 6, 6 stands for the 6 military units that we have: the Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and Space Force. Also, the 6 represents we got your back. We got your 6. So, it's near and dear. We've helped out hundreds, if not thousands, of veterans out there reconnect with their families, with each other. And if my little part in it helps one person, then it's been totally worth it. And that's why I support it so much.
So we'll share about it, and we'll make sure that the word is out, and we'll definitely be involved too and try to share the word.
Yay. All right, good.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for coming today. Thank you for sharing about the job. Thank you for sharing about your personal part of it. And as, our mission is to show the men and women behind the helmets. So that was really nice to share with you today, Jeff. And thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.